If you're currently looking for a flat in London, you probably feel like you're losing your mind. You spot a stunning studio in Zone 1 for £1,000 a month, only to find out that it's actually a cupboard under the stairs in Zone 4. The London rental market is currently flooded with what I call clickbait listings. These are not just annoying, they are designed to trick you into viewing properties you would never actually rent, and they are wasting your time. But today, we're fighting back. I'm going to show you how to analyze listings like a pro. I'm going to teach you to spot the fake prices, the fake studios, and plenty of other dodgy red flags before you even contact the agent. Let's start by exposing the most ridiculous scam currently advertised that shouldn't even be legal. You may have seen listings showing you studios in new builds, beautifully furnished, and super practical. There are several companies developing this kind of places. Let's take this one as an example. Here is a high-spec studio in a great location, a 5-minute walk from Acton Mainline station. In the pictures, it looks pristine. Even though the room is small, there is still enough space for a bed, a sofa, and even a little desk. There are big windows, a kitchen that looks amazing, and a bathroom that has the same vibe. On top of that, they advertise amazing facilities. We are talking cinema room, residence lounge, gym, spa, and even a communal kitchen if you feel like being social. We can also read at the top of the description that there is a 2 months rent-free offer. All of this for free for the first 2 months, and then for £1,250 a month? A bargain, you might think. Before you book a viewing, let me read you the small print and expose this listing for what it really is, a scam. If you scroll long enough, right at the bottom they added this disclaimer. The advertised rent reflects a 2 months rent-free offer, average over 12 months. What does that mean? It means that £1,250 a month is not the actual rent. Once you account for this 2 months free offer, the actual rent is £1,500 a month. And if that wasn't enough, there is another big issue, the extra bills. If you rent this place, you will be charged another £400 a month to cover the utilities and access the facilities. So all these facilities that we've just seen, they're great, but they're not free. If we add that on top of the £1,500 rent, it comes to £1,900 a month. When you see rent-free, read it as artificially deflated. Now let's move to what I call geographical gaslighting, which basically means fake location. Let me show you an example. I came across this listing while I was doing research for another video where I show you accommodation options around LSE, which is a very central London university. This video is now live, by the way. I'll link it below if you're interested. I set up my filters to only see listings that were within a 20-minute walk of LSE, and the perimeter looked like this. I clicked on this listing that is right on the edge of my search zone, but very well located in the heart of central London. It's a 2-bedroom flat listed at £2,200 a month, which is suspiciously low for this area of London. The photos are a red flag themselves. I mean, look at this. It's blurry, dark, oddly framed, and just disgusting. But that's not even the main issue here. If you look closely, you can see that there is an address written here. If you take it and paste it in Google Maps, you realize that we are not in central London at all. They do this to hack the search algorithm, showing up in central London searches even though the flat is in Zone 4. Meanwhile, potential tenants who are actually looking in this location in Zone 4 will not even see it because it's not recorded at the correct address. Which is probably best because I would advise against this place just based on the photos anyway. But it's not always as obvious as this. If you're the kind of person who diligently reads the listings description, you're probably familiar with the very ambitious claims that are made regarding the distance to public transport. Look, I get it. Being close to an underground station is a huge bonus, and it should definitely be emphasized by the agent. But sometimes they are crossing the line. This one is advertised as being a 2-minute walk from the station, when it's actually a 4-minute walk, so double the time. I know it doesn't make a big difference in your morning commute, of course, but it's still a lie. A small lie, but a lie. Other agents are a bit more generous with their estimate. Moments away is actually a 13-minute walk. Close to the tube station, 14-minute walk. Ideally located, 16-minute walk. Last example, which is the most ridiculous. This place is supposedly a 5-minute walk to either Manor House Station or Haringey Green Lanes. Their words, not mine. But it's actually an 8-minute walk from the Overground and a 19-minute walk from Manor House. Another type of clickbait that I want to expose is the fake studio. Studios are usually the way to go if you want to live central, alone, and on a small budget for London. That was exactly my situation when I moved to London years ago. I didn't know anyone, so I couldn't share with friends, and I didn't feel comfortable living with strangers. So I went on a hunt to find a studio. I made a video about my first London studio, by the way. If you're curious to see what I landed, I'll link it below so you can watch it next. A studio has to be fully self-contained, which means it has its own kitchen, bathroom, and toilet. People who are looking for a studio, like I was, are in need of safety and privacy. If I have to get out of my room and walk to the communal kitchen each time I need a glass of water, what's the point? Unfortunately, some agents and landlords are sneaky, and they're trying to advertise their joke of a property as a studio. For example, this place is clearly stating studio, and that's why it came up even when I filtered out house shares. It's showing 4 pictures of the studio. The main room from the opposite direction where we can see the bathroom itself, and the kitchen. The problem is that this kitchen is a shared one, even though it's not mentioned at all in the description. So how did I spot it? Clue number 1 is the price. £1,050 a month is too cheap for a studio in this area, where an actual studio is usually priced around the £2,000 mark. Clue number 2 is in the picture of the room itself. You have some element of a kitchen scattered around the room. A sink here, a microwave there, and that's why the landlord felt allowed to call this a studio. This kind of listing really angers me. First, they advertised their ensuite bedroom as a studio, just because they added a mini fridge and a microwave in the corner. But they also added a picture of the shared kitchen, without clarifying that it is indeed a shared space. This is so sneaky. Some landlords also think it's okay to advertise a room as a studio, even though there is no bathroom. This one, for example, has this tiny, incredibly basic kitchenette. Not great, but there is actually somewhere to cook. However, the bathroom that we can see in this picture is shared, so not a studio. Same here. This room actually has a decent kitchen, so I was full of hope, until I read the description that mentions a shared bathroom. But that's not even the worst. At least these rooms have some type of facility, whether it's an ensuite and a fridge, or a microwave and a sink. Some listings are really playing on words. For example, this room apparently has a kitchen. Do you see a kitchen? Because I don't. They call this a kitchen, I call it a fire hazard. There is no sink. Where do you wash your dishes? In the shower? This is not a studio, it's a dorm room with a mini fridge for your beers. So again, thank you for trying, but not a studio whatsoever. But it goes even further. Some landlords have the audacity to call this a studio. To be clear, this is a room with a wardrobe and a single bed. There is no hidden door, no extra perks, nothing. It's in a house with a shared kitchen and a shared bathroom, which is actually the definition of, well, a house share, not a studio. To recap this first part on clickbait, always read the small print to confirm that the advertised price is the actual price. Always check the location yourself and the walking distances, because agents love to think they are professional athletes who can cover the 2 miles to the tube station in less than 5 minutes. Always check that the floor plan and photos match the description. And be specifically careful about studios, which are the playground of dishonest agents and landlords. And don't worry about remembering all these scams right now. I've compiled every single one of them in my free flat hunting guide that you can download below. Now that you know how to avoid scammy listings, I want to show you more subtle issues that could completely ruin a place. When you're flat hunting, the pictures are going to be the most important part, right? So you want to make sure that you spot anything dodgy as early as possible. What I'm going to show you are not necessarily scams, but they are red flags that you need to be aware of so you can investigate thoroughly during the viewing and before signing the lease. First thing first, be cautious of closed curtains. It is absolutely not in the agent's interest to close the curtains when they're taking pictures. It will make the room look darker and less attractive, which will reduce the interest from prospective tenants and potentially increase the amount of time that the property stays on the market. Which is not good, neither for the landlord or for the agent's stats. So why would they keep the curtains closed? At best, it's because they are unprofessional and useless at taking decent pictures. At worst, it's because there is something to hide outside. Maybe the window is right in front of a brick wall, or the bins, or a big noisy road. So although it's not necessarily the case, a room with closed curtains in broad daylight is a red flag. And if you want to go for a viewing anyway, make sure that you check the view and brace yourself for disappointment. On a similar note, we have listings that are missing an entire room. I sometimes see a great flat that has a lot of potential and like 20 pictures, but none of them are showing the bathroom. Here again, it could be due to an unprofessional agent who didn't check they had everything ready before uploading the property. Or it's not a mistake, and then no picture of a certain room because it looks very old or impractical or whatever, and they don't want you to discover it too early. Here is a good example. This flat looks lovely, but we have no idea what the bathroom is like. Missing rooms in the pictures is unfortunate, but we can at least assume they exist. Something that is harder to hide is the lack of windows. If you see a listing with no window, please run. I found this one for example, which to be fair does have windows, but look at where they are. How are you supposed to open them to make sure you get fresh air every day? Also, there is a very limited amount of natural light that is getting into the flat, which is a big issue and will quickly become depressing. Actually, just the fact of not having a view on the outside will make things harder and can drive you crazy very quickly. Next, we need to talk about the wide-angle distortion. Agents will use wide-angle lenses, which will make a shoebox look like a ballroom. So how do you spot this? Look at the objects. Is the kettle oval-shaped? Is the bed stretched so long it looks like it could fit a family of 5? Compare different angles to see if you notice any differences. For example, here we have a giant bath. But when we switch to another point of view, we can clearly see that it's just a regular bath. Or here, in this picture, it looks like this is an extra wide sink, when actually it's nothing special. Now, let's talk about a new and terrifying trend, AI staging. Look, when it comes to using AI to decorate an empty place, I'm not the last one, at all. I regularly use it to show you how I would improve a place or furnish a room. And I believe it can be incredibly useful to visualize a space properly. I don't have a problem either with agents using it, as long as they are upfront with it. There is a big difference between showing an empty flat and adding a couple of improved furnished rooms to show what it could look like here, and advertising a furnished place that looks just too perfect. Here is an example that I found very unsettling. I can't tell for sure if it is AI generated or not, but there are a few details that feel very unnatural. For example, if we zoom in, here the table is cut at a very odd angle. Or here, the table and chairs have a blurry glow that feels unnatural. And again here, it looks like the table was edited with a 20-year-old version of Photoshop. It doesn't sit right with me. The issue is that agents are not being upfront with it, and it makes flattening even harder. If you suspect AI, ask the agent to clarify. Or even better, ask for a video tour. AI can fake a photo, but it can't yet fake a shaky handheld video of someone walking through the door. If they're being shady in their answer, that's another red flag. But honestly, being able to analyze a listing doesn't matter if you're looking in the wrong neighborhood or you have your budget set incorrectly to begin with. That is actually the biggest mistake that renters make, and I break down exactly how to fix your search parameters in this video right here. Click here to get your search set up correctly, and I'll see you in there.